And here we are. Here we are.
Hello.
Hello. I am here with Richard Jackson. This is
How you doing?
amazing. This is
Hello.
amazing.
Hello. It's exciting to be here, man.
I know. Okay, so for those who don't know, this is a guy I followed for years. I remember being back in the day as I'm editing the freaking Captain America Winter Soldier VHS. I'm listening to Richard Jackson, Duncan Casey, and
but you can say it. I don't mind.
I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say it.
Oh,
we'll call him. I guess we say it. Oliver. We were talking about.
Oliver.
Yeah. We're doing commentaries, and I was like listening to while editing, and then you guys inspired my Jurassic World trailer because all the voices Duncan did.
I love that.
It's so great. It's so great. But yeah, I'm a fan of your work for the longest time, and it's so great to finally be talking to you. This is years in the making.
Same, man. Same. I love what you do. I really love what you do. You've consistently made me laugh for a long time, and we've been Facebook friends for years and everything. And yeah, I've always felt like eventually we would talk, and here we are.
Yes, so. Definitely. Because I had like the show set up. I'm like, who can I get as guest? I'm like, oh my God, Richard Jackson. We've been wanting to go ape for years.
Go ape! Yes,
I know.
Excitement.
And I totally understand now because now that I've been doing videos on my channel, it's like I know what gets hits and what doesn't get hits. It's like, yes, I understand. Predator. Because I did a video on the Page Master, thinking nothing of it. And then it went with views. I'm like, what? Because I did like a video. It's like, yes, I understand. Oops. There's a little bit of echo.
Sorry.
Okay. And then there was a video I did on Mouse Hunt, no views. But then I did Loaded Weapon 1 and it skyrocketed.
There's an alchemy to it, man, that I haven't cracked. I don't get views for what I make.
But you guys do great stuff.
Thank you, man. It's lovely to be here, and it's lovely to finally go ape after many years of thinking about it.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, that echo was me. I'm just getting the chat up because I invited the Verde crowd over.
I see that they're
popping up in the chat. So we got James and Omar in there. So
that's cool.
Yes.
And Filler Vision, that is Cade Fisher. He's made some of my thumbnails for my videos.
That name rings a bell. Cade, do you follow Valverde?
I'm sure he does.
Very familiar. Yeah. Anyway.
Yes. So, I guess let's get started. What got you into the ape movies, first of all?
So in the UK, there's a channel called Channel 4, which is like a terrestrial channel before cable and digital and all the rest of it. And Channel 4 used to be kind of quite cool back in the day. It's not anymore. It just puts rubbish on. And they did an Apes season when I was a teenager. And because I'd watched the first Apes movie when I was younger, but kind of forgotten about it. And they Channel 4 did an Apes season, which they advertised with Jungle Boogie by Kool and the Gang. It was the trailer they cut together for the Apes season. And they put on all the Apes movies and Behind the Planet of the Apes. So it's the first time I saw that. And I watched them. I was like, hey, these are really cool. And you and I had a little chat about this yesterday. And then I got to the third movie and I was like, oh, hold on. These are really cool. Like, these are really cool movies. And then the history behind it, Behind the Planet of the Apes, it was a really, really interesting doc. And that inspired me to go read the book. And then I just find Apes is like this big juggernaut now. It's one of the big legacy Fox franchises, right? And Planet of the Apes has always done well and been around. It's kind of like Alien. But I do find the original movies are kind of neglected in that discussion. I think they kind of look down upon, actually. Yeah, in a lot of senses. So yeah, I've got a very clear memory of how I went ape, Frank. Yeah, that's how I went ape.
Mine was that kind of weird thing. So I'm growing up with like kid movies and like I'm noticing names on the back of boxes match. Like, oh yeah, this guy wrote this movie and this wrote that. And then so I'm watching Dustin Checks In. And in the movie, the orangutan is watching Planet of the Apes. And I'm like, what movie is that? I want to watch that movie. This was like weirdly around that time where it's the 30th anniversary, 1998. And I saw it in the store. I'm like, I want that VHS tape. And my mom was like, iffy, like, yeah, you sure you're going to watch this? It's an older movie. It's not a kid's movie. I'm like, I want that movie. Give me that movie. So my mom got me that movie. I watched it and it was just mind blowing to me because it has Charlton Heston. And then I remember seeing the scarecrows. That scared the hell out of me because I thought they were like dead bodies because it's like VHS and I'm like a little kid. And so it's my imagination working with it. And I was like, oh, geez. And then I still like it's still terrifying to this day watching that first opening, like the first time you see the ape on the horse. That's terrifying stuff because it's just so jarring. It's like you're not expecting that. And I fell in love with the series just because of Dustin Checks In. And then for years, I had to hunt down VHSs because they didn't sell the box set. So I had to hunt down the movies.
Right.
So I saw like 3, 4, 5, and 2. 2 was the hardest one to find.
Right. Okay. Oh, God. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So they were like different colored VHS tapes. So it was like the second one was green, third one's purple, fifth one's dark purple, fifth one's gold, and it has what's the guy, that singer on the cover as the orangutan. Not Julius. I forgot his name. But anyway, that guy. Yeah, that guy. But yeah, and it was so funny. After finding all of them separately, they released the box set. I was like, oh my God.
A taped box set? VHS box set?
VHS box set, yep. Mm-hmm. It was at like those stores like Sam Goody or something like that. And I was like, oh, geez.
Oh, sure. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
But that's how I became a fan. I just watched those like religiously and just thought like, oh my God, it all kind of circles back. But after rewatching it now, go ahead.
Well, sorry, it was always the case, just to be clear, like the original Planet of the Apes, its broad strokes and its twist,
yes,
I've known since forever because of the pop culture. And when you started talking about the 90s and stuff like that, before I had my teenage watch of them, everybody knew what it was. Primarily Planet of the Apes, the musical in The Simpsons.
Yes.
With Troy McClure, which I still, in the shower, am I like, I hate every ape that I see, from chimpanzee to chimpanzee. So, jokes about it, pop culture references to it, it was always part of the landscape. So, Apes was always there. And there was always like, oh, it's the one where it's Earth at the end, you may next, you blew it up.
Yes.
Yeah.
But as a kid, I didn't know any of that because I think this is like fresh Frank. This is like 7 years old, 8 years old when that happened, when I got into it. And I remember being so excited because they even made like a Tim Burton one. I was like, I just got into these movies and now they're making a new one. Which
I haven't heard that movie.
I haven't watched it in years. At least they knew to do the makeup. They knew to do that.
Rick Baker, right? Rick
Baker.
Those are amazing makeups. Unfortunately, the film around the makeup isn't as good. But anyway, never mind.
Yes.
Never mind.
So, never mind. Go past it. And then I guess we'll go right into the first one. So, what are your thoughts on the first Planet of the Apes?
I mean, it's kind of monolithic, isn't it? I mean, it's so. I think the story behind it's fascinating. It was a real because was it Daryl Zanuck who just really wanted to get it made.
Richard Zanuck.
Richard Zanuck. Sorry, I get my Zanucks messed up.
Because he's the guy who later on did Jaws. Yeah, that dude.
Yes, yeah, a real kind of passion project, and it's got one foot in the kind of pre-crash spectacle musicals. It's not a musical, but it has those, a cast of thousands and loads of extras and huge sets, and it's got all that kind of Fox backlot thing to it. But because it's on the cusp of the Hollywood crash, it's so weird. It's such a weird, audacious, strange. Because can you imagine? We take it for granted now, but someone went, "I really want to dress all these people up as apes. I want to dress 100 people up as apes, and we're going to get Charlton Heston." And it's got everything good about allegorical, speculative sci-fi, but it's wrapped up in the most Hollywood. It's such a Hollywood film, but it's mental. It's not about a singing veterinarian or crap they used to make. It's Planet of the Apes, and when you read the book, we would kind of touch on this a bit yesterday. It kind of it deviates quite a lot from the book, mostly for budgetary reasons, because they have a kind of primitive. It doesn't add up at all if you think about it, because it's they've got a scientific society, but they live in clay huts. It doesn't really add up. It doesn't matter because it's about talking apes.
But I guess it kind of makes sense because there's pre-existing technology that they probably just worked from.
That's true. Yes. That's true. Yeah, and the kind of denouement of the book is that the ape-human cycle repeats. And that is something that's inferred in this version.
Oh, I know. Because there are so many ideas. Because I just rewatched these last week, and they're it's been a while since I watched them because I watched them as a kid so many times. I haven't really revisited them that often, but rewatching it and just seeing how the story goes, and someone in the studio got smart and started leaving little breadcrumbs for the next writer to say okay, we're not unlike some other big films, Last Jedi, where you leave some breadcrumbs
Not to name any names, but
not to name any names, but just saying, Last Jedi like basically like did a Charlton Heston where they nuked the planet.
right. Yeah, we're done here. Sorry.
Yeah, for real. Like that's the best answer for that. But like, yeah, rewatching like behind the scenes, like behind the Planet of the Apes, how Arthur Jacobs just had some, like he just wanted to do the book, and he started pitching the idea, and then no one wanted the idea, but he's like, wait a minute, I'm gonna freaking like get ahead of everybody. I'm gonna go to Charlton Heston, the biggest star in the world, and Charlton Heston's like, yeah, man, I dig this story. Let's go to the studios, and then he had the name, the script, the book. Everything's going, and then luckily the studio changed hands to the younger Richard Zanuck, and Richard Zanuck's like, all right, let's make this ape movie. I dig it. They're not all going to be apes, right? They're going to be humans. They're like, yep, let's do this. And then they did that test. I remember seeing that test and thinking like, oh my God, is that like a deleted scene? What is that? But it's just like the alternate, just to get the idea across. And I think that was cool.
To pitch it. It's a great little scene. It really feels like a part of the movie. And
yes,
but the makeup's a bit off and it's not quite there. But it's kind of like, it just really speaks to the audacity of this as a project. It's kind of like, we're making the bloody talking ape movie. And they wanted to kind of pair Edward G. Robinson and Charlton Heston again, and everything, and that didn't quite come off. And the rest of it.
He just couldn't do the makeup. He's too old at that point.
Yeah, bless him. Bless him.
And even Josh Brolin was in there. Not Josh Brolin. James Brolin.
I always do that as well. I always confuse the two separate individuals.
Because they looked so much alike and have like a similar path in their career. It's so weird.
Yes. Yeah.
It's so weird. But yeah, like it was James Brolin, and then it was Nova as an ape in that scene. I think she was Zero. Yep.
Yeah. They're great. They're strange little. That's all the stuff. When you watch Behind the Planet of the Apes, which is the documentary, like all that stuff's in it, and it's just like, oh my God, this has got this insanely kind of rich fabric of Hollywood. I was going to use a kind of British expression there, but I won't, because everyone just go, "What the fuck are you talking about?" I know. Do you know what a stick of rock is? You ever heard of the stick of rock? It's a big, long piece of sugary candy, and they do this thing where it will say like the name of the town it come from, so Brighton, and if you bite it in half, it still says Brighton. The letters go all the way through, and we say it's written through it like a stick of rock. So I'll send you a stick of rock, mate, one day, and you can try a stick of rock. You'll get diabetes and die, but you'll die happy. It's got Hollywood through it like a stick of rock.
Yes,
I just think because I really like, you've watched a lot of the content I've made, so I really like kind of 70s sci-fi, like American 70s sci-fi and British 70s sci-fi, and if you look at something like Demon Seed or even the original Westworld, they're in a similar vein, right? I think Westworld is more like Apes. Westworld is like this insane spectacle that feels like a big Hollywood movie, right? So Demon Seed is like grimy and kind of low key, and then Phase 4, the movie Saul Bass directed, like they're lower key. Phase 4 is insane, but like I don't know, there's something kind of more isolated and insular about some of the movies on one hand, but on the other hand, there's a huge spectacles of things like Westworld and Planet of the Apes. And it's this kind of dare to dream thing, I think. With it. And it's a really interesting movie. Like to sit and watch it is consistently entertaining. Yes. And it's got a really charming cast, like the principles in it, and the fact that the two ape leads actually took over the series more or less, like really speaks volumes.
Like Roddy McDowell is like the heart of the series, and I like that he's able to embody different versions of these characters throughout the series just to keep it fresh as a performer. That was awesome to watch.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, and it takes on that kind of generational thing, and then
we'll get to this. We'll get to that, but like, oh my God, yeah, so good. But like, there's some ideas, because after rewatching it recently, I didn't notice how dark it was. Like, I found out that they castrated freaking Landon and took out his brain. And they're going to do the same thing to Charlton Heston. I was like, because they use a different word. I think they use they're going to oh damn, there's like some other word. I'm like, what does that word mean? So I looked it up, and I'm like, oh my God, that's what they're going to do.
Jesus Christ, it's like, that horrible lobotomy scar thing, and there's just like a zombie. It's horrible, because I think the first time I watched it, I missed like the first 10 minutes, and I was like, oh, I'll crack on. And then it's just like, oh, there's a guy with his brain cut out. What the then? So because the whole point, right? The whole point of the book is it's discussing vivisection and the way we treat animals. and it flip reverses that. And then the film carries that, does that.
Yep, it does it because they're carrying the dead bodies and then taking pictures with the bodies. Because I don't think you'd be able to do that stuff today because it's so dark. Like there's a big giant pile of dead bodies because they just killed them.
Yeah. But if you did a film where people were hunting deer like that, no one would care.
Yeah, no one would care.
But
like,
the grotesquerie of humans as prey.
Yeah,
and that's and they're hunting them on horseback as well. Because there's the thing in the book in the book of Planet of the Apes. They are hunted by gorillas who are. It's a bit like the more European or British thing that they're kind of guys in Wellington boots with flat caps. Well, gorillas kind of dressed in the kind of traditional hunt dress with shotguns, hunting in the way kind of like British nobility hunt pheasants.
Yes.
Whereas in the movie, it's kind of horseback and rifles, and it's more like a kind of hunting pack, isn't it? Like a hunting party.
Yeah, and it's not really for sport in the movie. It's more for like pest control, basically, because they're ravaging the crops.
Yeah, they're a nuisance. They're like rabbits. The humans are like rabbits, and and just the idea of humanity having regressed, to this childlike state, which is kind of like, it's like, hey, Charlton Heston, leave her alone, mate. She can't even spell. It's a bit grim. She's got the mind of a child, Charlton. Leave her alone. Yeah,
and that's so weird too, because like I noticed through this rewatch, I was like, oh, he kind of gains back his humanity because he's so sarcastic and hates the human race, but throughout the movie he sort of gains back, like, I want to live, I want to save something, of the humanity and whatnot, because he even cares about Nova at some point. I'm like, oh my god, like he actually cares about somebody else, and he actually kind of grows as a character, because he, in the beginning, he is so cynical about the human race.
I think that's lost a bit, isn't it? Because people kind of go like, yeah, just tough guy goes to Ape Planet, and it's like, no, he's really strongly characterized as someone who's purposely left Earth because he's sick of humanity. Like, and he's this Taylor is this immensely embittered, cynical man, and it takes this horrendous experience to change him, and then the film just slaps out of his hand at the end with that reveal.
Yes.
Which I think is really, when you go into Beneath Planet of the Apes, because you got that, yo maniacs, you blew it up, and then Beneath Planet of the Apes to start, he just kind of goes like, right, it just goes off. All the energy, like all that energy from the end of the movie, it comes to the second movie, just kind of goes like, yeah, all right.
It's like, I guess we'll try to replan it. Like, we can teach the kids. We can make our own tribe. Why not?
I know a bit of maths. This is fine. This is going to be all right. Don't worry about it.
I know Dr. Otto Hessline. We can work this out.
Yeah, exactly. I've been in a spaceship, mate. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Yes. Oh, not wanting to skip ahead too soon, but I just think that's really funny. Like,
it is.
It's his whole arc. And again, it's the really kind of, is there any truth to the, because I think it's in the Behind the Planet of the Apes documentary, but like everybody always says that Rod Serling came up with the ending, the twist. Yeah, is that true, or is that just something people say? Like,
I have no idea, because it sounds like it's true. I'd believe it. It's
one of those. I believe it. Yeah,
it's one of those probably Hollywood legends, where it's like, yeah, that sounds true.
Yeah. Well, I read something recently that said everybody says that, but there's no actual source for it. So I'm a bit like, is that really true? Because there's so many things like that I've taken as fact, and then someone else has come along and gone, no, and it's like, oh, all right, fine. Because it's very, very befitting of Rod Serling, isn't it?
Yeah,
like that ending, and it's great. It's such a fucking. It doesn't make any sense, because it's like, why would the Statue of Liberty be like? Where is this exactly? That it's in some. It doesn't matter, because there's Monkey Planet.
It's Monkey Planet. Yes. Yeah. That'd be so funny if they just kept the title Monkey Planet, starring Charlton Heston.
What? Do you know what? This is because I'm a irritating pedant. Like, I did it myself because it's funny, right? I've avoided. It's funnier to say talking monkeys, but I haven't, because they're not monkeys. They're primate. They're great apes. They don't have tails. And people always go on about them being monkeys, talking monkeys. They're not monkeys.
Yeah, they're not monkeys.
I'm so cool.
And speaking of like their intelligence and all that, what I realized during this rewatch again, where I'm like, how did I miss that? Where it's clearly Dr. Zaius knows what happened. He knows what happened.
Yeah, he knows. Yeah,
and he's just desperately trying to sweep it under the rug, because like he must be dealing with like Zira and Cornelius on a daily basis about discovering this, and then this is just worse. It's like, oh god, they poured gasoline on the fire, finding this guy who
they're coming into his office every day, and he's got like a drawer full of Game Boys. He's just like, oh fuck it. No, what? I don't know. Whatever it is, I don't know. Go away. Leave me alone. Because he just knows. But that's great as well, because it's got like kind of it has intrigue, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, it has intrigue and a mystery, and it's kind of like, you know,
what's he hiding? What's going on?
What's he hiding? Yeah, and then it's the kind of it's a little doll, isn't it? They excavate, they excavate like the human doll and stuff, and it kind of keeps you on that, because in the book it is a different planet, right? And that's the thing, and it's I think that's what they tried to do with the Tim Burton one, and it's like okay, but you know the big and this film leads you down that garden path the whole time. It's like, oh yeah, it's a different planet where there's some kind of divergent evolution. That's what's happening.
Yeah.
And Taylor's freaking it out, and then you get the kind of Earth thing at the end, which is because of that great slap in the face kind of, you know, bolt on of an ending.
Definitely. So, is there anything else you want to say about the first movie? Anything about Cornelius, Zira, the sets?
Yeah, but, you know, I think my thing with it always is that it feels it's the end of the kind of classical era of Hollywood. It's right on the cusp, like I say, coming when it comes. It's just around the time of the crash. So it's got all the staging and the mechanisms of a pre-crash movie, but it has a little kind of attitude and message of a post-crash one, which I find really fascinating. So it's just the sheer spectacle of it. And it's just this immensely watchable. And do you know what, Frank, as well?
Yes.
Do you know when you meet people who aren't nerds and like we just take for granted that everybody's seen this stuff, or that everybody knows all the twists in movies, right? We just take that for granted.
Yes.
And every now and then you meet someone who's not a dork, and and you're like, oh, you've never heard of that. Do you want to watch it? And you get this amazing joy of showing them, for example, this.
Yes.
And you get to watch them live it all for the first time. Because ordinary people aren't like us.
They're not like us.
They're not like us, mate. They got lives and jobs, and they don't sit around on podcasts talking about monkey films.
We got to talk about the monkey films and how in depth they are and build a world.
Exactly.
The apes have their own religion. There's a funeral in the movie.
I'm going to intellectualize the fuck out of this. Yes. No, it's a great movie. It's a great, fun, entertaining movie, and I think you can show it to anybody. And I love, like, Cornelius and Zira as characters are just these, because they are conflicted, you know, about what's going on, and Zira in particular is the more humane of the two.
Yes.
And they become, I mean, it's more on Roddy McDowall really as it wears on, but they become the kind of heart of this series.
Yes.
I just think it requires a lot of eye acting. Because quite inflexible old-fashioned makeup, you know, because it really is the muzzles, the kind of the chimp muzzles. It's like like when they talk, because there's no movement.
Yeah, because they probably have to move their whole jaw in order.
Yeah, I think they talk about that in the kind of in the documentary stuff. You really got to people often say that about makeup. You know, you really have to act 200% just to make. So right. In the case of like McDowall and Hunter, they've got people with really expressive eyes, and they really sell. Yes. I love those two as well, and we're going to get, you and I both love the third one, so we'll get to that and gush over that in a minute.
We'll get to it.
That's when it becomes them. But yeah, great movie. It's fun. You can show it to anybody, I think, and it's just kind of
and it has the everlasting power. You know, it's really well done.
Evergreen. It's evergreen. You know. And if kids watch it and they laugh at it because they think the makeup's bad, that's when it's acceptable to hit children.
Yes, agreed.
I was trying to be like, but you see, we both delivered that in such a flat way. People are like, "Oh my god,
they're going to believe us. They're going to believe us because they've never seen these movies, so they have no idea what we're talking about, and we're being so serious about hitting children about the apes."
This violence against children is for entertainment purposes only. There, you're fine.
Yeah, we do not endorse that. We do not endorse hitting children. We're joking.
Yeah. So we won't make you sign anything at the end. Anyway, yeah, those are my thoughts about
the first one.
The Planet of the Apes, the original.
The Planet of the Apes. So we get to the sequel, one of the best ones. No, just kidding. Beneath the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah. So I get, because you and I had a little kind of chat yesterday, didn't we, over Messenger, just text, and yeah, so we're both of the opinion this is kind of the five. Well, I would just say of the five, this is number 5 in the ranking for me.
Yes, this is the fifth in the ranking. It's like the small hand of the of the family.
The T-Rex hand on the Schwarzenegger body.
Yeah, and I think that the whole reason why it's a small T-Rex hand is because you don't have Roddy McDowall.
Yeah.
Because I think they could have led with that, but they couldn't get him back. And then Charlton Heston's like, yeah, I don't want to do a sequel. I'll do like 15 minutes. It's like Harrison Ford in Rise of the Skywalker. I'll shoot the fucking scene, but I'm not going to cut my hair.
Yeah, put me on a green screen for 20 minutes. That's all you get. That'll be $10 million, please.
That's Charlton Heston with this one.
Yeah, hugely.
Yeah.
And it's got the cone heads that live underground.
Yeah. Which is still a decent idea, because I think that's like the only next step to go is like, okay, there must be other humans on this planet, and what happened to them.
I have no issue with that conceptually. Yeah, like humanity's hyper-evolved. I think in terms of, because they're kind of like the opposite of Morlocks, right? They're kind of hyper-evolved people. And you poor old Brent has to come in, and his job is to be Diet Charlton Heston.
Oh my God.
Like, okay. And I really feel for, because that's a proper...
This is Earth. It's like, we know Brent, and like for the first 40 minutes, oh my God, this used to be my home.
You crazy people, you exploded it. Yeah, exactly. How could I be so wrong? Again, it was Earth all along. Again. Yeah, bless him, because he's like, I do quite like the when Zira sees him and she thinks he's Taylor. And then she's like, "Oh, you all look the same," and it's like, "Yeah, totally, I get that." And there was as a sidebar, I read about a kind of scientific study where, so if as a human being, if you look at a chimpanzee, right, they look the same to us, and that's what this is riffing on. Apparently, babies are able to differentiate between different animals on that basis, and it's an ability that humans lose as they mature. There you go. That's a bit trivia. Yep. but yeah, she kind of she does that, and it's kind of and the thing is, he looks like someone cosplaying as Taylor, unfortunately.
Oh my God.
And Nova can't speak, so
yeah.
Yes.
And I like how Nova has like a glow up, because in the first one she has like thick eyebrows, and then the second one she looks straight up like Richard Zanuck's girlfriend who got the role.
Yeah. It's like, look what I've got, guys.
Supermodel in the next one.
Yeah. It's like, you're supposed to be like a kind of primitive, like, okay, fine, hair and makeup.
But she gets to speak in that one though. She's Taylor. Yeah,
she does, and then she gets to get killed with everyone in the whole world.
And that's the whole reason why Taylor wants to blow up the Earth. He loses Nova. He's like, "F it, we're gonna blow everything up."
Yeah, we get to. And this is what we talked about yesterday. It's like Charlton Heston. I pretty much said he'd do it if like Taylor dies.
Yes,
and I love how that scene goes down as well, because he kind of gets shot and goes like, "Ugh!" It's like
Doomsday.
Doomsday. It's like, dude, your character's dead. You don't have to blow up Earth as well. Like, come on, like, help me out. Like, meet me halfway, for fuck's sake.
Oh my God! And we get the introduction of the general. Oh my God! I completely
forgot.
They don't like good human. It's a dead human.
It's a dead human. Yeah.
Force.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, he's so great. Like, he's so good.
It would have been so great to have that movie with Charlton Heston against him. Dude.
Yeah, if Chuck, but Chuck wasn't down to clown, was he? And it really shows.
Wasn't.
Like,
nope. Magnets, how do they work? Nope.
Love it. Don't talk to me about no scientists. Those motherfuckers lying and getting me pissed.
That's what the gorilla was saying.
I for one welcome the ICP HBV. Let those guys write and direct one at Gathering of the Juggalos. That'd be amazing. I endorse that completely.
With Andy Serkis still. They keep Andy Serkis.
Of course, yeah. He's tenured ape at this point. And deep fake Roddy McDowell into one of the ICP guys' faces.
Oh Lord.
So this speaks to Beneath the Planet of the Apes, right?
Yes.
In that we've already gone off a tangent about the Insane Clown Posse, because it's like there's just so little to say here. It's like,
although The Simpsons did reference this as well in Itchy and Scratchy, when Scratchy goes to the Itchy and has all the
yes. Oh God, but God love The Simpsons. They've got us covered in so many different ways.
They've done everything.
Simpsons did it. Yeah, it's a kind of desperate sequel, isn't it? It just smacks of desperation, and like you say, it's a bit like watching the Alien Nation TV show.
Yes,
it's like, oh, it's the same but cheaper and not as good.
And it's so funny because it's built on the back of the dead Hollywood system because all the sets are repurposed for this movie. Oh my god, that's like a deeper thing too.
Yeah, it essentially takes place inside a carcass.
Yeah,
Like,
hello Dolly carcass.
Yeah.
And I thought they smelled bad on the outside. They cut open Hello Dolly and put Planet of the Apes in it.
Yeah, this tray just stuffed it in there like a kind of metaphorical skin suit and hoped he wouldn't notice.
Ben,
but we did.
Leia.
Ben, take him a system.
Zero, Cornelius, help me.
You must go to the Dagobah system.
There you will find Zero Cornelius.
yeah, there you'll find the third film, which is good.
Yes. Good transition. Good transition.
I'm sorry to just truncate
pivot
beneath the Planet of the Apes because there's very little to say. Yeah. Whereas we're probably going to spend 3 hours talking about this one.
Yes, because someone smartens up by this one because someone realizes, wait, there's sequel potential. We're going to leave some breadcrumbs. We're going to put it throughout the full movie. And not only that, but they build off the first movie with Dr. Otto Hesslein. That's awesome.
Yeah. I love that. I love it. It's a great redemption, isn't it?
Yes.
And it feels it shares things with Star Trek 4 in the kind of the setting and the time travel and stuff like that, which I think is what struck a chord with me when I watched it. But yeah, it so brilliantly builds on what we've got already, and then centers Cornelius and Zira, and it really asks some quite big and interesting questions about how we treat each other and how we treat animals, and the ethics of essentially it's the Terminator as well. It's the grandfather paradox, right? And do you have a right to, as Dr. Silverman would call it, like, a retroactive abortion? Like, is it ethical to commit genocide via these means and then everything? Because it's what they're trying to do, right? They're saying, oh no, we'll sterilize them and we'll take their baby, so we'll let them live, but we won't let them reproduce. And it's like, but Cornelius and Zira do kind of deserve it. They don't, but they do because Zira gets drunk and she's kind of like, oh, I've dissected hundreds of specimens and stuff. Like, they've been vivisecting people. But the point is, it's shades of grey. Nobody's right. I'm not going to be like, cut her tits off. I don't mean like it's like, don't, that's not what I'm saying. But it's this is sorry, this is Apex.
I like how these family films, these family Planet of the Apes films, and you're like, cut off her tits.
Cut off her tits. I tell you something that has there's something that bothers me in this film. There's because I love this movie, but there's one thing that really bothers me. Do you remember when the zookeeper guy has got Zira in the cage and he's kind of taunting her? Not the zookeeper, but the kind of caretaker guy.
Yeah.
He's and I can't remember. He's trying to get her to do something and she won't. And then he says, "Have it your way, mate." And she goes, "I'm not your mate." You know that?
Yeah.
That Americans don't say mate like that. It's a really weird, jarring, like.
But he's like a weirdo. He's like a weirdo.
What are you saying, Frank?
No, no, seriously. Here's an example. I don't know why they do this. It's a trope in movies, but for example, that guy reminds me of the character from Minority Report, where he takes care of the precogs and he's like really weird and attached to them. And they do that with this, where it's like it's like weird, overly attached to, like, I'm going to take care of you.
It feels like he just says mate.
Yeah.
To tee up her call and response.
Yeah.
Like, because Americans don't say mate like that.
Yeah.
Like, and so she can say, "I'm not your mate." And it's just really weird. It just feels odd to me. It's like, why? What? Just like as if he was like Dick Van Dyke in Mary Poppins, I'm a banana, and he called her mate. I'd be like, yeah, fair enough. But,
Oh my god. Just steppy time, Apes. Oh my god.
See, I've
Cherry Tree Lane. Now you got off. This is what happens. This is what happens with Richard Jackson.
For those
who don't know,
tangents and
tangents.
References to basically bodily functions in the toilet. That's what.
Speaking of like references and all that, and it was like a Rick Dalton point for me was like the lead human character who likes Zira and Cornelius. Like I was watching the movie and like heard this voice. I'm like, I recognize that voice. He's the lead from freaking Piranha. Years later, 10 years later.
Oh snap! Yeah,
I didn't know that because he has a beard.
No, I didn't either.
Yeah, because he has a huge beard in Piranha, and he looks old, like he smokes every day. And in this one,
yeah.
Because in this one, he's so young and has like comb slick back hair, and he's like, I'm a nice guy. And in that one, he's like a drunk, and he's drunk in like every scene.
yeah. Was it because those characters, the two scientists, they mirror Cornelius and Zira and everything, and they have the, it's structured in a way where they have the, I can't remember what on the hero's journey spectrum because that stuff bores me, but like the part of the story where they live the high life and everything's fine and something has to go wrong. So they become, because then it comments on the nature of celebrity as well.
Yes.
Which is really interesting.
Like Twitter before Twitter, where they like turn on them instantly.
Yeah, exactly. They get cancelled, right? Like they get turned on, and they become hounded and become enemies and threats to humanity and stuff.
Yeah, and it's such a dark and twisted turn because in the beginning it's like this is the end of the 60s. Whoa, it's fish out of water. It's apes in modern time, and then it goes into like the freaking dirty, hairy, like we're going to kill these freaking apes and their kid.
Yeah, man, like because they are kind of kids films, but then they kind of take a real turn. It's like, oh my god, like because it has that, all the kind of helicopter work at the end when they're in the kind of naval graveyard and everything, and kind of grimy street level. It's a bit like, I mean, it's not similar era, but it it shares things with the 1978 Body Snatchers remake as well, because it is San Francisco, isn't it? That they end up in.
I think so.
Yeah. So it shares things with that. I mean, we could just screen grab just us to it.
Thumbnail.
There you go. Yes. Done. So the end of the film, dear viewer, is what appears to be the mother and father ape and their baby being gunned down by armed police and then lying dead on the deck of a boat.
Not even, it's just a physicist. It's just a scientist who has a gun.
Oh, yeah, of course. It is like, of course, with a fucking revolver.
Yeah.
Like, chase him around and shit.
And no one told him to do it. He just went to do it because he's so dead set on his theory. Which, is it accurate or is it even accurate? Because,
well, that's the thing as
films,
well. Because he holds a justifiable position. He and you're in the kind of like, do you kill baby Hitler type thing. It's kind of like, well, that you're punishing someone for a crime that may never happen. And it's all your fault. It's all your fault.
What? Raging waters.
I don't know how much longer I can hold this. Poor Joe Morton, the brother from another planet, getting gunned down.
And he got typecast for Justice League. We're playing the same character.
Yeah, bless him. So like, I'm doing this again. But I stuck with the X-Files to the bitter end in TV time. And when Robert Patrick came in as Agent Doggett, there's one episode about his old friend who's in prison, who's played by Joe Morton.
Really?
And it's really lovely, two-handed between Patrick and Morton. It's very nice. Anyway, hey, there he is. Okay, why did I ask Frank Ireland that? Clearly, I knew the answer.
I only seen the movie.
I know I found these toys somewhere.
I found these toys next to like a pair of glasses and false teeth and a little heart valve.
Yes.
And they were better than you. They were here before you. They were better than you.
Oh my, you're a reference flinging machine. It's amazing.
For those who don't know, that is a line from the film Planet of the Apes.
Yeah. I would hope people watching this know.
You never know.
You never know. To be fair, quite a lot of people watch this kind of stuff, and that's how they go and find the movies. And I hope
so. We're doing a good job here. Yes.
Yeah. I hope someone at home is doing that. But everything in this asks really big questions. It's a thrilling kind of chase narrative. It becomes a chase movie. We know there's a kind of sword of Damocles, right? In that we know what Zira and Cornelius know,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we also know what the humans don't know, and you're constantly waiting for the whole house of cards to click.
Yes.
Of course it does.
Mm-hmm.
And when they have their kind of complacent celebrity thing where they're drinking champagne and
Mm-hmm.
being pithy to the press and getting their suits and stuff,
Yep.
and you know it's all going to go to shit. And again, the kind of there's a morally justifiable position for everybody's actions.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, good and evil was painted a certain way, and you've been sympathetic with Cornelius and Zira for, I'm going to say 2 movies because screw the second one.
Yeah, and it's not even. That's a weird thing too with the second one because they have the right makeup that looks like Cornelius.
Yeah,
it's sort of like because it's like Back to the Future Part 2 with freaking George
McFly.
Yeah.
Because I think it's the same. It must be the same application.
Yeah.
Because I must be perfectly honest, I watched the 5 movies and I didn't realize that wasn't, because the part's so small and I was younger, I guess. I didn't realize that wasn't Roddy McDowall until I pointed out, because the makeup's exactly the same. And it's so good that he comes back for this.
Yes,
it's
needed. It is needed.
Because he's so magnetic and kind of charismatic.
Only when she lets me. Yep, that's such a great.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, right. And Cornelius, because it's true in the first one as well. Like Zira is the more humane ape main. She's the conscientious one, and Cornelius is a bit shady, and he's a bit more pragmatic about what he's done. And he's the one more in this that kind of like, no, we can't be honest. We have to keep secrets. We have to. So the through line of his character is perfect. It's exactly the character we were given 2 movies prior, and you get, it's his story, Frank, that runs through the series like the letters in a stick of rock. I'm gonna get you a stick of rock. I can't wait.
What's a stick of rock?
I told you it's a diabetes pole that you get in.
It's an artist painting a picture of an artist painting a picture of an artist painting a picture.
It's a stick of rock with a stick of rock with a stick of rock.
Rock with a stick of rock.
Rock with a stick of rock.
What was I going to mention about this? Oh, yeah. So I mentioned it earlier, but I want to actually explain it. So in this movie, the writers or whoever, the creative team, realize they have a juggernaut franchise here and they want to milk it. So they start leaving names like Aldo. There's an ape named Aldo in the future who says no and stands up to the humans. All the dogs and pets die, and the apes have to become the new pets. And it's all leading to that. It's going to happen, or is it going to happen? But it's all laid out in this one by leaving clues from, for the next movies.
Which is delivered in a really nice way. It's all exposition, right? It's all lore and world building. But we haven't heard it yet, and Zira and Cornelius have to tell someone, so it's delivered in a natural way. It never feels forced, and you really get that kind of like, oh, that's what happened, okay, and it kind of makes sense, it kind of adds up, and it's this kind of dire future, but it's not nuclear war, it's not biological war, it's not these other things. It's the kind of ape apocalypse, I guess. But I never feel like I've got someone, like. In like the Watchmen movie, the characters just stand around and read out the Wikipedia page to each other. It's like, and then in 1962, and it's like no. Whereas in this, it's kind of like they have to, and it's like it's the same thing in Terminator 2, right? You discover what actually happened in Terminator 2. Yeah, exactly. The Terminator is out there. In the second one, it comes from the mouth of the Terminator, and that's unbiased, factual, biographical.
And that's what exactly Cornelius is doing in this, because they're like, Cornelius said it like a historian, so he's cool, but Zira, we're not cool with Zira.
Yeah. We're not cool with Zira. Loose lips sink ship, Zira. What are you doing?
Oh yeah. What is it? Apple juice plus or grape juice plus?
Apple juice, grape juice plus. Grape juice plus. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, also, so I'm pretty sure, and I'm getting older, Frankie C. So but I watched the 5 movies on Channel 4 when they did the kind of series, and I'm certain I'd watched the first one at some point in the past. I'm pretty sure I'd watched this at firstly on like a Sunday afternoon or something on ITV. ITV's like another channel.
So you saw them introduced that way with the helmets coming off.
Basically. Yes. Yeah.
That must have been a cool twist. Yeah, to come into it this way.
Yeah, and I knew what it was. because it's Planet of the Apes, but I didn't know that was. And this works really well as a standalone. And I think, as we talked about yesterday, the third, fourth, and fifth movies are a great. It's a bit like how Star Trek 2 kicks off that trilogy within a series, right? There's a really great. I mean, we'll get to the fourth movie, which is also just so good. But this works really well as a standalone. You don't need to have watched any of the rest.
Yeah, that's right, because it hasn't. The book closes at the end, and that's it. Although, it does leave a little breadcrumb for a sequel. With someone from Star Trek. Ricardo Autobahn.
Yeah. Oh,
Zero, man. I love you. I love you. If I get dominated by an ape, I want it to be you.
He's just so sexy, isn't he? He's an aggressively sexy man, our Ricardo. Even like so sexy, he would fuck an ape. Apparently,
we don't know.
Much like Mark Wahlberg. Apparently is.
That's right. Oh my god.
Well, that's one of the things one of the great things in Behind the Planet of the Apes is the makeup test of the human hybrid child.
The second movie, part 2.
Yeah, and they have to in the politest way, like Roddy McDowell narrating this documentary has to go, of course we didn't do that because it implies that someone fucked a monkey. He doesn't say that, but like they have to. It's like, and also it's like, what? Why did you do that? What's like?
They were doing anything because, like, where do we go?
Yeah, true.
Here? Where do we
go?
Go?
Yeah, that's true. They were kind of flinging shit to the wall to see what sticks, weren't they?
Yes, the ape in the other cell, the gorilla. Who gets chained up. Who kills Sal Mineo from freaking Devil Without a Cause? A Rebel Without a Cause.
The Rebel Without a Cause.
Yes,
of course, kind of reminds me of the gorilla from the end of Trading Places as well.
Oh God. I'll never unsee that. I can never unsee that.
That's what I always think of when I see.
I'll never unsee. They're connected. They're canon.
Yeah, that's the same. Same fake gorilla, mate.
It's the same ape.
Same fake gorilla. Same ape. Same ape. I'm just going to grab some water. It's just across the room. Sorry, I'm not leaving.
Hang on, podcast.
Sorry.
Our podcast.
Come on, everybody. I'm just grabbing some water. There we go.
Okay.
Very good. Oh, look, Frank's doing it too. It's important to stay hydrated, particularly if you're on a futuristic desert planet full of apes.
The question is not where we are, but when we are.
Thank you, Inspector Spacetime. Oh, right.
We only have 3 days to find it, and that's when the groceries run out. Oh my gosh.
So yeah, I mean, you know, I'm not sure what else to say about this movie. I mean, I love it so much. I would happily show this to someone. You can take this. I think the second movie as well. Yeah, show this one. And what it does have that great thing, you can show this first.
Yes.
And then watch them back like you go 3, 4, 5, 1, 2 if you want to. You know,
it's like Halloween where it's like choose your own adventure. Where do you go?
Yeah, exactly. Some of this counts, some of it doesn't. You know.
Do you want Michael Myers to be her sister? This way. We could do this way. Not the sister this way.
Turn to page 42. Frank, what do you want to name my top 3 Halloween movies? I reckon it's probably Halloween, Halloween, and Halloween.
Which Halloween's first? Which
Halloween
came first? The ape or the man?
Halloween. Halloween came first, then they made Halloween, and then I think Halloween. But if I was to put them in reverse order, I'd say Halloween, Halloween, Halloween.
Yeah, well, my favorite one is Scream and then Scream.
Yeah, right. Yes. Do you know the name of the killer in the Scream franchise?
Ghostface.
No, it's Simon Cream. It's just condensed to Scream. Sorry, I'm so sorry. Oh anyway, let's talk about monkeys.
Hang on, one more thing before we. One more thing. I noticed while watching this rewatch, I like how it opens up with that familiar shot where it, like you could skip to, like because it opens up with that beach, and you think it's like where the statue is, and all of a sudden the helicopter comes in. So it's like they even know like we fucked up with 2. You can go from 1 to 3.
You can go from 1. Yeah, it's really clever. I just the whole inversion and like you say, the reveal of the helmets come off. And then it does like kind of crash zoom, doesn't it? And the music kicks in, and it's just.
And then it's like that cool '60s, like we're gonna party, dude. This is gonna be fun. Shagadelic.
Yes, the Austin Powers shagadelic music. This is one of my. I have a few kind of comfort movies, and this is big time. This is like if I just one of my other comfort movies is Short Circuit 2. That I think, like Short Circuit 2 in particular, is just a delightfully gentle movie. This is not a gentle movie; it's very bleak and kind of, but it's got there's something about it that the kind of familiarity. Like this to me is very much kind of Sunday afternoon I'm
Absolutely.
gonna chuck this on, even though it's, it's like Short Circuit 2 is very sweet. Like this is quite bleak, and it finishes with a baby chimp dying, getting shot. In actual fact,
a Tarantino Mexican standoff.
yes.
Stop pointing that fucking gun at my dad.
But with apes.
And then Zero at the end. Put the gun away.
Oh,
lime
bless
in the
him.
coconut. Put it all together.
Zero bleeding out in the back of a cab or whatever.
You're not gonna die.
She's a cop.
She had a baby, Larry. She had a baby.
Oh God, yeah.
Oh, it connects.
I just mentally watched Reservoir Dogs in its entirety in my head just there.
Yes, because we just recreated it.
Recreated it.
Yep.
I think there's a lot to be said for just taking pre-existing movies and reshooting them in 1970s apes makeup.
Yes.
We have the
technology.
Totally. we can rebuild it.
So, with transitioning, rebuilding, we're talking about Conquest. I think my personal favorite of the series, because I keep saying like, oh, the first one's great, but I'm like, I think the fourth one keeps cramming up. It keeps going like, it's the best.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yes.
Like it's an amazing film.
Yes.
Like, I'm not sure if I like the third or the fourth more. I mean, I know as a duo. I mean, and again, what I like about them, but it's such a great variety pack of movies.
Yes.
Because it's like there's the kind of time travel contemporary one, and then it's in the dystopian brutalist future. As a time skip, and it's like an actual kind of Orwellian fascist state.
Yes.
And it's like, oh, we're doing that now. Okay, you're just like off doing this. Like I do every time you crack one open, it's like mystery meat almost. Like it's a different kind of
a Kinder Egg where you open up, it's a brand new toy.
I thought Kinder Eggs were banned in the United States.
They brought them back. They're coming back in a big way.
Oh, good. I'm glad. I would have sent you a care package full of 6 of rock and Kinder Eggs.
Well, just send me an Easter basket. It'll be good.
Easter basket. Do you still Deacon's Easter basket? So that's another.
Oh yeah, from Poundland, right? From Poundland, because you had those things from the game. I remember.
What game? What things?
The trivia game. Remember, you used to have like a little game.
The Poundland objects.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
of course, yes. The commemorative Captain America recorder and the such like, and the musical instruments usually.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm bringing that back soon, by the way.
Ooh, he's bringing it back,
but live with an audience.
Hot scoop.
Live with an audience, Frank. That's the idea.
Oh.
But anyway, I do a quiz show sometimes if you don't know who I am, which is statistically very likely. And Frank's an old school fan of that show.
Old school fan.
It's
I go
very
way back.
sporadically, right at the beginning. It very sporadically arises. I'm planning a live version, which I'm quite excited about.
That's exciting.
Yeah, so I can tell you the bits off air. But anyway,
Conquest, 1991, Earth.
Orwellian dystopian civil rights allegory. Because it tackles civil rights. It was vivisection before, and it's just like taking on different issues, different social issues. Which is the job of good science fiction, right? You should be
where there's fire, there is smoke.
There is smoke,
and in that smoke,
the re-edited ending though, where it's like. But now we're all friends. It's very like Poochie returned to his home planet. Mr. Black!
Now we shall put down our weapons and sing Kumbaya.
Poochie died on the way to his home planet.
Because the movie really had me. It was so good. I'm like, damn, this is great. But I knew the ending was coming and I didn't know how jarring it was going to be. But it is so jarring.
It's a kind. Yeah, it's definitely a when you know. Because first time I watched it, I didn't know. And then I watched Beneath Planet of the Apes. And then I watched it again. I was kind of like, oh yeah, I'm a dipshit. It's so fucking obvious. The thing that's reminded me of it the most recently is Carrie Fisher in The Rise of Skywalker. Where it's just like loads of shots of the back of her head. And then she'll just say something completely oblique and walk off. And then the character just goes, what she meant to say was, it's like, no, Disney, you killed Carrie Fisher.
It's so disrespectful for what they did. Oh my god.
Such horrendous grave robbing, isn't it?
It is. Because I was watching it. I watched it because I'm doing the stupid trailer mashup where I want to do time travel with the characters from the series.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, because like my idea, because so sidebar, because we always go on tangents on the show anyway. My idea, Richard, is that because I remember seeing the trailers for Rise of Skywalker, and I thought, oh shit, are they going to go back to the original trilogy and help Luke rise to the occasion? Because they could easily dress as sand people and then beat up Luke to make sure he doesn't go home. And then they get on the Death Star, and those doors are closing right before Vader comes. Freaking Rey hits the button as the doors shut, and then at the end, freaking Poe and Finn are in those TIE fighters, fighting, and then Finn's like, okay, I got to do this, and he like hits Darth Vader, and Darth Vader spins into space.
Could we have Chewbacca flamethrowering Luke's auntie and uncle?
Oh my god,
he can't go back to this farm.
Too dark. Too dark.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Too dark. Too dark.
I'm sorry.
Too dark. We can't do that.
All right, fine. I'll make my own damn movie.
The producer in my ear is saying we need to go to commercial.
Ow. Boo.
So anyway, Conquest,
man. What a movie! The ending does work. It's just assembled in a way
where you could tell.
Also, you do kind of need this ending to lead into Battle for the Planet
because it does lead into it perfectly.
Yeah, because like if you did go with that ending, you'd have to do a sequel where Caesar's just this kind of genocidal maniac.
Somehow Charlton Heston returned.
Yeah, somehow the dead speak. Oh, that's a left turn, isn't it?
And Charlton Heston comes back. Damn dirty apes! I didn't die,
dude. I'm alive. I didn't really blow up the Earth.
When I went to blow up the Earth, I actually went into a black hole and I landed in an alternate timeline with powers. God, that's what would happen.
I think is like when we make jokes about this on the internet, it creates the possibility that will exist one day. And you kind of make a joke about them doing a terrible Apes grave robbing Charlton Heston thing, and then it'll be announced tomorrow. It's kind of like they're doing a CGI Charlton Heston to fucking grave rob. Anyway, Austin Stoker. You've got Ricardo Montalban.
Yes.
Who, as soon as his character dies, I miss him immediately.
Yes.
I'm like,
because
I don't want him to die.
If anything, he's like the best human of the series, other than the Zira
and he sees his conscience.
Mm-hmm.
And there is the point that Caesar literally loses his conscience, and he has to. Does he then therefore take up violent revolution? And because it's all about his makeup is subtly different to show us that he's not Cornelius. He's got kind of a bit of a bigger face and a more receding hair.
Yeah.
His Roddy McDowell's performance is different, and
it comes through, and it's probably one of the best makeup performances in the history of film. Because I was watching this, I'm like, how come people don't talk about this? He's giving so much through his makeup,
and that's really firm, solid, hard to move makeup. And I wouldn't say like Zira is conflicted, right? But Cornelius is not.
Right.
Caesar
is conflicted heavily.
And he gets that from his mother, but he never had his mother. He was raised by someone else.
Which comes into the fifth movie.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So there's still that through line. He carries on Cornelius and Zira's story into this.
Yeah. Because his breakdown is heartbreaking when he hears that Ricardo Montalban has passed away, and he's just like he's trying to work it out, and then he just ends up just yelling because he doesn't know how to process it.
And he's young as well. He's supposed to be a young man, so he's full of all the kind of piss and vinegar of revolution and everything. And he's able to kind of wield power over these other apes because he's smarter than them, and he's their future and everything. And
that's so well done how they do that. Oh my god.
Yeah, and it's don't want to be trite, but it's power and responsibility, right? Because he has dominion essentially over these other apes, but he views them
as equals,
a level playing field, as equals. And it's before. Because what exists in the ape society, which is shown to us by their different coloured tunics,
and that's kind of cool because they're doing that in this one too. Because all the gorillas have orange and all the chimpanzees have green. That's
because
cool.
it's the classic animosity and tension between science, bureaucracy, and military, right? And that kind of doesn't quite exist here. but that's what the Apes Society is formed into when we first saw them.
And it's almost like they carry those little elements when they create the future, if they do, you know.
If they do, yeah. And it's got that. It's a prequel and a sequel because it's the origin story of the Planet of the Apes.
Yep.
But it's a grandfather paradox, right? So it's loop back round. So this is another. You could jump on here and watch them that way if you want. You could start at 4 and go 4, 5, 1, 2, 3 if you wanted to.
But we kind of did that with the new CGI apes, and I'm not sure. We were talking about this in the chat, and I'm not sure if it's as rewarding because I feel like even though as much as I like 4 or Conquest, you really do need the build up from all the other ones, or at least I feel.
Yeah,
in my personal opinion.
Sure. No. I think you're right. It's you need, and I think. Because it is continuing Zero and Cornelius' story, right? And you need to know who Caesar's parents were and what his baggage is, and what kind of informs his decisions and the way the world may be going. And you need to know. You don't need to know that. I'm just saying you could jump in and watch this kind of dystopian fascist.
Yeah, because the new Apes movie, isn't it just like a regular ape who was just like at home?
What, in Rise of the Planet of the Apes?
Yeah. I don't know what they're called because they're all different titles and they're interchangeable to me.
I like the first one. Rise of the Planet of the Apes, I think, is legitimately good, and it's a remake of this movie, and it was a spec script called Caesar.
Oh, really? Okay.
So it was a script called Caesar that was around for ages, and so kids at home, if you're wondering, the Andy Serkis ape is based on this ape introduced in this movie. Well,
Caesar, a king,
a king. So he's a regular ape, but they test like an experimental Alzheimer's drug on his mother, who's killed, and it's passed down to him, which is a bit kind of over-explainy. But I like that movie. I like the first remake.
I just realized because I just talked about Hulk on Friday. That's very similar to the Hulk, where David Banner is testing on himself, and then it goes into Bruce. Very similar. Yeah. That's weird.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's a very good point. As you and I would talk about yesterday, and again, we're kind of tangenting here. They rob the Apes movies of time travel.
Yeah,
because that's dumb, and it's like no,
time travel's wonderful if it's done right. Jesus, time travel's like one of my favorite genres. I love it.
It's a really important part of Apes. I mean, I don't know. I like Rise of the Planet of the Apes, the remake of this, essentially. Yeah. But the ones that come after,
interchangeable and the same.
And it doesn't have because it has the backbone of this movie, but it doesn't have the kind of crazy fascist future. Because last time we saw Planet of the Apes or Earth, it was 1970s California, and everything was as we know it. And then in the preceding 20 years was as you say, the far off futuristic year of 1991.
Yep.
Or everything is advanced by orders of magnitude, and we're suddenly in a dystopia. It's great. It's mystery beat. Every fucking movie is just so different. Like it's apart from the second one, which kind of retrace stuff, but they're all so different.
Yeah, I like this one so much, and just the efficient storytelling, Jesus. Because by minute 35, he is like literally picking his name, and at minute 30, he's being like auctioned. But by then, you learned what's going on in the world, how everything is run, and because I'm big about storytelling. It's like when I ever look at get bored, I'm like, hey, well, how long are we in the movie? 30 minutes? Okay, good.
For sure. Yeah.
But this is so good at doing that,
and it's similar to the third one in that. It's exposition delivered well. It's exposition delivered kind of conversationally. It doesn't feel like people reading out fact sheets. Like it's all, and there's visual storytelling in it because it's in the backgrounds and stuff. Like the lovely kind of shot where all the different apes come out and they're being drilled to do different household chores and stuff. Like that. It's quite minimal in its dialogue, but it informs you of everything that's going on, and then the inherent cruelty of what's being done.
Yeah.
But also, that the apes are just as bad as we are if you let them be. So it always plays with. I think there's always an interesting question of where your sympathies lie, because the obvious thing is the humans are shits. But let's say, but watch Planet of the Apes, and you realise the apes given the same power are just as bad.
Yeah, exactly. That scene.
Yeah.
Because they just revel in that. They revel in messing with the humans.
Yeah. There's a cruelty to it. I love how this movie just goes off a cliff. Like I don't
It's
mean
so
I mean
good.
that third act, everything just goes nuts, and then
And
there's a full tilt revolution and
Yep.
fire
And I love
like,
what he's doing because he's packing up the prison because he's
Yeah.
he's gonna release them all for
Yeah.
his army. That's where he's building his army. And I love how like in the beginning when he gets introduced to these apes where they're all like wild, but somehow they all know, like they sense it on him because he like rips up the banana or he calms down their orangutans in the cell where he's like, chill, we're gonna be okay. This is gonna be good. You're in good hands. Caesar's here. And it's so good. And then even I like the character of McDowell. I think is his name, McDonald. That's interesting.
McDonald. There you go.
Yep. That's cool to throw into the series because even though it's all been about civil rights throughout the whole series, they finally bring in an actor of color into the series, which they hadn't done before.
Yeah, and he's the great sympathetic human character this time because there's always the human guy, and he's he's kind of he has to take over as Caesar's conscience a bit. He has to come in and kind of be in his ear, and he's kind of a bit of an audience cipher in a way. And then in the next film, it's his brother. Because do you remember in I have a shorthand for this that I need to explain. You know in Monty Python the Holy Grail, where it shows all the knights, and one of them's called Sir Not Appearing in This Picture. Yes. There's like a little baby in an armor. Yeah, Sir Not Appearing in This Picture is the next movie.
And you know what's funny? When I was watching Battle, I just assumed it was the same character until he says, "My brother." I was like, "Oh, you could have just ironed right through it, just like they did with Cornelius. Like, just say it's the same guy. It's everything's
good. It was good. You couldn't get somebody back. That's fine.
Yeah.
But whatever. I love. And obviously, the big thing is the kind of speech at the end, which apparently lots of audiences fucking lost their minds over.
Yes,
it's just like amazing.
Yeah,
bring the house down, barnstormer of an ending.
It kind of, I understand because it's such a good speech.
Don't they they reverse the foot? He goes, "Now we must put down our weapons." Isn't there like a bit of reversed foot?
They learned from George Lucas with the Sand People.
Yeah, bless it. But I do think that, the ending is important because it's better. I think people just arbitrarily think they want every ending to be dark, and it's like I mean it's still fucking dark, but it's like I think just making Caesar kind of inhumane and cruel. I don't really want to see that. Yeah. I want his. I don't want to call it redemption because he wasn't in a bad place, but you want him to be a benevolent leader, and then when they come to the next one, it's all about him. He's still conflicted, and it's about his kind of sacrifice and his place in the world and everything, and what it means to be him. And Roddy McDowall just shoulders the lot, doesn't he? It's amazing.
He does not get enough credit for this one because I feel like this one is like one of the best performances of the films and one of the best makeup performances because everyone talks about for example, like Gary Oldman in Hannibal where like he disappears or whatever, but like with this one it's like another performance. Like it's different, but it's still he's giving a performance to that makeup. And
it's the same voice, but it's the same voice audibly, but it's not the same inner voice. It's not the same character.
Yeah,
and Caesar's probably the most compelling.
Yeah, out of all the characters of the series,
in all Apes films, like Caesar's the most compelling, quite easily, because it's got everything we love about the performance of McDowall, but now, because Cornelius is a bit of a duplicitous shit, you know what I mean? Whereas like Cornelius, Caesar sort of wants the best, really. And you know, and Caesar is motivated by what he rightly perceives to be injustice, whereas Cornelius largely wants to cover his own arse most of the time.
Zero.
He's just a more kind of compelling character. I'm not sure, Frank, where I lie if this is my favorite or not, but I think this is also a comfort movie. It's another comfort movie.
It's okay if like you could have the third one. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if I want it now. I'm like, oh man, that's so good.
No, you're going to stick with it.
I do the same with Dawn of the Dead and Day of the Dead as well. I can never pick.
I'm going to pick. Day of the Dead's mine.
Is it? Well, the
Yes.
thing is, I can't argue with you because at any given time it might be mine as well. It'll change back to Dawn. So,
Like it's my favorite so much that I had freaking George A. Romero sign my copy. I was like, of all the movies, like I want him to sign Day.
Oh man, I've got
because Day is mine.
Hold on a sec.
Hold on, podcast.
Sorry, viewers, you can hear me still.
We've lost Richard. We've lost Richard.
I'm not dead, I swear. A bit of show and tell, which I think Frank has seen these before, but I know you like a show and tell. I used to have a business customizing sneakers, and I made these Dawn of the Dead ones. And they're signed there by George. I met him.
Awesome.
So
those are cool.
They're really faded and manky, but like that says George A. Romero.
That's awesome.
And that says Stay Scared. And these are. I used to sell these are, and then Richard P. Rubenstein threatened to sue me, so I had to stop.
Oh,
so there you go, facts. Anyway, this is not a George A. Romero podcast. I just figured you like show and tell, and
this is show and tell. This is good. This is good show and tell.
Good show and tell. I want Ape sneakers now. I've just realised.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that'd be cool.
Anyway,
that would be like. Now you're making me wish, like, because okay, another sidebar. So I like collecting like these leather hats. Like if they made like an Apes. Based on like the green outfits or like the what do you call it? Their uniforms, basically, like the gorilla stuff. That would be sweet.
See, I'm a bit of a sneakerhead, as probably is obvious, and obviously Jordan 1s, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the classic sneaker, they come in all those different colorways.
Yeah.
You could make a chimpanzee one with the green,
the
orangutan one with the orange, and the gorilla one with the black, and just do them in Apes themed colorways.
Oh, that'd be so cool, and it's like the same texture.
Rock. Yes.
I love that.
That'd be so good. So I hope you're listening, Nike.
Get
those 5-year-old Chinese children to stitch me some more shoes.
Allegedly.
I don't want to throw all my opinions of my own. I don't want to throw legal hand grenades into poor Frank's show on my first appearance.
We are very best friends with Nike. We just asked you to make a sneaker.
Anyway.
Anyway.
Hang
on. I'll drink to that.
I'll drink that. All my water's gone, so there'll be no more glugging from me.
Oh God.
Stay hydrated, kids.
Oh no. He spent all his water.
That's all gone, mate. It's all gone. Are we going to talk about Battle?
Oh, we have to.
Yeah.
The folks are here. We're going to talk about
folks
Battle.
are here.
So on this rewatch, because like for years I always sort of just threw it off like it's low budget, it sucks, it's more kid-like, whatever. But this rewatch, I'm like, oh, the ideas are still here. It's not simplified. It's about Caesar trying to balance, like, let's try to work with the humans, let's try to do that. And not only that, but it's like bringing in information from the third movie where there was an ape named Aldo, and he was the one who said no. And then, goddamn, like the first freaking ape we meet is like, I'm Aldo. I'm late for class. No. And it's like, oh, geez, is this where the timeline is going to split off? Where's this the path? What's going on? Can we alter the future? Yeah. And it's all in this movie. And I never knew that as a kid because I just saw it as like, oh, it's a little boy and he's fell out of a tree. And it's like, oh, and then there's a split off at the end.
They're very meticulous with the lore, aren't they?
Yes.
Which I don't think is credited because they are very meticulous with keeping their ducks in a row and everything in order. It's and like you say, this one just for the beginning of the discussion of Battle. It's not my favorite, but it's like the discussion is always like, oh, that's the worst one. It's terrible. And it's like it really isn't. Like it's that's not true. Like
no, it's impossible.
It still has stuff to say. It still has the characterization. Like you say, it's kind of peppered in all the kind of stuff about the law and everything else. It still has kind of interesting questions. It is lower budget. This one's will say
you could feel it because it's like. I get it. Like, what happened to building houses? Like,
yeah. Oh no, everyone lives in the frickin' woods now.
Yeah, in the tree house.
It's also like all of the apes have learned very good English in the space of not a lot of time, and it's just like, okay, it's a bit hokey in that regard, but then it needs to kind of move forward.
Was it 16 years, 12 years? It was
Yeah,
2003 because they did the math. Because
Yeah.
okay, so it opens up 600 years in the future with John Huston, and he's like
Mhm.
apes, and like back in the day, and and then it goes back in time.
Yeah.
And you have to listen to the math, so because you have to remember the fourth one. Fourth one takes place in 1991, and then you go to 600 years in the future, Lawgiver, and then you go back to in time, and that year is 2003. Even though they never say 2003, I had to do the math. I was like, oh my god.
I always remember that it's not long enough for them all to have just overnight become.
Because I was almost wondering, I'm like, is this the children? Is this like Caesar's kid now? Because like the McDowell character, until he names like, oh yeah, my brother. I'm like, okay, so this is still the same universe. Okay, or a couple years.
Yeah. A bit advanced, and they have to do that to make it, because you could do it about like Caesar's grandson, but it's just like, he needs Caesar's baggage, and if it's just him living in the woods with loads of apes that still can't talk, it's like, okay. So yeah, no, I was pleasantly surprised by this, because I was, well, the first time I watched it, I mean, I was kind of teed up for like, this is dreadful, this is the worst one, and it's no good and everything, and it's like, that's not accurate.
No, there's
that's
good pieces there.
It's not my favorite, like it's probably fourth on the list, but I would say
it's a pretty good 4 list.
It's a list of 4 good movies. Like I think the drop off in quality to Beneath Planet of the Apes is huge. I think the remaining 4
because they're all because they're all like A+ movies, or like 4 or 5 star movies, and then Beneath is like a 2-star, but like
and that's not like unwatchably terrible. It's just not good enough.
It's just not good enough.
For what we've
for what they established, and what would come afterwards. It's really the run of the litter.
Yeah, and I just kind of I've recently discovered that I don't think Rocky V is that bad. Like it's not that good, but it's not that bad. And I always think that people view Battle as like the Rocky V, and the parallels are there. The parallels are there because it's cheaper and everything else, and it's part of a fading franchise at the time. But no,
apparently they still made money though, right? They still made bank.
Yeah, it turned a profit, I think, because then they still wanted, they still kept merchandising apes and stuff like that. But like, it still made bank.
They pushed the TV show after this, which still had Roddy McDowell as a different character.
Good old Roddy, and that's set like in the middle time-wise, isn't it? Let's see, it's quite.
I think so. Yeah.
In the first movie, never watched any of it. I never watched any, because there's the animated series as well.
Yeah.
Which. Yeah, I've never watched any of that either. Because
I own it all, because at one day, I'm sure I'll watch it.
Okay, what, like on disc? You got it on disc?
Yeah, I got it on disc. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Like if it was on YouTube or something. I know, like I think like the Apes live action series was screened in the UK once or something before I was born. So I haven't seen it. I'd be interested to.
Yeah.
Good old Roddy. But
he was so good. And he's stuck with it.
So good.
He was the Donald Pleasant of the series.
He was, and he deserves everything, all the praise that comes along with it. And then, of course, behind the Planet of the Apes, he hosts in his lovely kind of genial McDowell way.
Yes.
He's British by birth, wasn't he?
I believe so. Yeah.
He moved to. I think he moved to the States when he was quite young, because you kind of he's got a bit of a weird accent, and when I found out he was kind of British by birth, I was kind of like, okay, so that's kind of a mid-Atlantic-ish thing. I think it's a bit closer to you than us, like because he was there for so long. But like he's got that kind of, I guess that's British sort of. Yeah,
because I knew him as a child, as a wee child before Planet of the Apes. I knew him as the priest from Bedknobs and Broomsticks.
Okay, Peter Vincent, Fright Night. That's a.
Oh yeah, that's yours. It's like 2 different eras. That's what I love about these actors. Like you could be introduced to them at different eras of their lives, and they still have that quality that you connect to. That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, he's got the man had a lot of range as well. I think because Peter Vincent's so great because he's kind of washed up and not schlubby, but kind of pathetic. And he has to kind of have his about face and everything. And within this series, as we've talked about many times the last kind of hour and a half, like the difference between Cornelius and Caesar is huge, and he just carries it with such charisma.
You know what I found out from Shane Ford the other day? He just tweeted me about it. Apparently, Roddy McDowell had the FBI raid his house because he had pirated movies. before VHS.
Yes, yeah, I heard that. Yeah, right. Like he had pirate movies.
They didn't arrest him because the laws weren't there yet, but like he had like hundreds of thousands of movies pirated.
Oh, do you know what I love about that, right? Because there's like, I don't know, like Robert Blake or Phil Spector doing something really sinister as a famous person.
Yeah.
And then Roddy McDowell's done something kind of quite skinflinty and lame.
Yeah, kind of nerdy. He just had a huge collection. Oh my gosh. But yeah, so in Battle, I do like that there's some like little things left from Conquest because they bring back the guy who was head of security. He's sort of like the leader of the mutants. And somehow there's always a human on the other side that's like, but what if the apes aren't that bad? Wait, did you cut out? Say something. Oh no. We lost Richard Jackson's audio. We lost Richard Jackson's audio. Okay. I'm trying not to panic. Trying not to panic. We'll go to the audience. Hello, audience. Frank's ranking on the movies. Oh, you want the ranking of my movies? Okay. Oh, your batteries went out. Okay. Oh, damn. Okay. So I don't know. Does that mean it's over? Is it over? Okay, he's going to replace the batteries. Okay. So, Phil, my ranking of the movies is probably 4, 1, 3, 5, and 2. If you want that. So that is Conquest, Original, Escape, Battle, and then Beneath. So that's my ranking. So right now, Richard is changing his headphones or his microphone battery. So that's my ranking.
Hello, Francis.
He's back,
darling.
He's
I'm
back,
darling. I'm sorry. This is the radio pack I use for work, and I've been on a job all week, and I forgot to change the batteries. I'm dreadfully sorry.
It's okay.
It's
okay.
Unprofessional, but that was a very brief interruption. What's the chat saying?
It's okay. I was just going to the chat. Phil Dragish, a longtime friend of Frank.
Phil.
Yes, he asked for my ranking, and I just gave my ranking as I was as there was dead air.
Phil Dragash has one of the most wonderful voices, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. He was the voice
very
over
talented voice actor
for Captain America: Winter Soldier and Jurassic World 2015.
He was, yes, yeah.
Yes.
Phil and I are friends on Facebook, I believe.
Ooh, Phil.
Phil, we're friends, aren't we? Are you my friend?
Are you my friend? Speak friend and enter.
I'm going to bring the chat myself. I'm going to bring up the chat on my phone.
Bring the chat. Again, the development of what became the 2001 Apes film could be its own video, a James Cameron Arnie movie, one stage. Yeah, that would have been cool. But Arnie. Yeah. I don't know if Arnie's ego would do it because right now, I don't think so. Because I think
see him as Taylor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I could see him.
I'd want Taylor, 80s Arnold as Taylor. I don't think I'd want 90s Arnold as Taylor.
They seem to there was that time where they would just, because he was the hugest actor in the world, but they just wanted to put Arnie in everything. So there's I think there's Joel Silver was doing Doom at one point, and they was like, put Schwarzenegger in it. It's just everything's put Schwarzenegger in it. And then there's the same thing with Cameron, because Cameron.
Yeah. Yeah, give Cameron Spider-Man. Give Cameron Spider-Man. Spider-Man Cameron.
The Arnie as Dr. Octopus was the thing, wasn't it? I think for the Cameron Spider-Man.
Oh, that would have been so awesome. I can just imagine just wearing those glasses.
Yeah. It'd be so good, and it'd have loads of calamari puns in it.
I could just see him just looking up wonderful. And looking down, and they're just lit up red. That'd be so cool. I could totally see that.
Yeah. Hold on. Here's the chat. So anyway, did we until my battery mishap, do you think discuss Battle enough?
I don't think so. I think we just talked about Battle comes after Conquest.
Battle comes after Conquest.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I will say that as well about it. Like I said, everyone's different. With similar kind of moral quandaries. This one, for better or worse, takes place in the woods, and it kind of looks like a Robin Hood movie a lot of the time because they're in the woods. And again, first two desert, kind of lump those together.
Oh, so you got to change the
location. Contemporary.
Yeah.
They physically different. They take place because the first two movies are very dusty and deserty, and this one's all kind of verdant and green. And the fourth one's grey and brutalist. It's a very brutalist movie, and then the third one is contemporaneous. And this is yet another example of like, oh, it's different, and it goes back, because Caesar's son falling out the tree and everything, and like that's quite
little
dark and everything.
Cornelius. Oh.
Little Cornelius, yeah, like that's really dark, and the fact he's taken a wife and he's got a son, and he has bigger concerns than just the revolution or the ape society. Like he has his own family to care for. And everything, and he's still,
and that's his yearning for the past. We completely forgot about that. That's the whole reason why he goes to the city, because he wants to connect to his parents, because he doesn't know where the future leads, but McDowell knows.
This is when
McDonald knows. Yeah,
McDonald. This is Caesar basically being John Connor, isn't it? But before John Connor, it's the same. And again, and I keep bringing that up because
everyone knows it.
It's the grandfather paradox. So you that is what's going to happen.
Or does it happen?
Or does it? Or doesn't it? Or won't it unhappen?
Because I even love that ending too, because 600 years later, there's still some sort of balance between humans and apes, but the little ape pulls the pigtail and then she pushes him down. And it's like they're still not there yet.
Done via, in Terminator 2 when the little kids are shooting each other with guns, and it's like, it's in your nature to destroy yourselves. It's like doing that through the medium of children, because children being raw and unfiltered show us what we're really like, and the ape
they show you who they really are.
Show you who they really are. Yeah.
You know what's weird? As we're talking about these movies, I realize they almost all take place during the same sort of like Terminator thing, because Terminator 2 takes place in 1991. And then Battle takes place in 2003 for Terminator 3. That's so weird.
Oh yeah.
But there's no 80s or
there's a third Terminator film. Ha 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 ha. Lol. Lol.
I see what you did there.
Monkey
Monkey
movie. Just getting senile, Frank. Just repeating myself. You sat there in retirement home going like, "Can I watch RoboCop again? I've got opinions."
So speaking of which, RoboCop opinions.
Hold on.
Do you have your Ed 209? Do you have your Ed 209?
Ding, ding, ding. I do.
Yes.
But also, do you remember the theme tune to Popeye and Son? He's got his little son. He's got his wee babby Ed 209 with him. Look. Oh, nice. Is that the Is that NECA? No.
Yeah, it's NECA. Yes, the NECA one.
Oh, hold on, Frank. Because I don't have many kind of toys.
Yeah, but... yeah. I know your theory on that. You're like, I don't have enough space. What am I going to do with this plastic?
But I am a man of. Here's the McFarlane RoboCop from many years ago.
Oh, that looks cool.
It's fucking groovy. It's got a little diorama base. I really dig this figure. And because the NECA Ed 209 and the NECA.
Hang on, put it to the camera. Put it to the camera. Hang on.
It's going to be out of focus if I bring it any closer.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see what you got.
It's like a 50mm lens, yeah. So I got to sort of hold it next to my face. Grown men playing with toys. Grown men playing with toys. Oh, I've got my Type 2 Bleed VHS here.
Oh, nice. Oh, yeah, that's the. Oh, wait, that's your film. Plug your
film.
Plug your film.
If you. Oh, also, I'm kind of a hip hop fan, so here's my Run DMC toy.
Oh, nice,
well,
nice.
My film is called Type 2 Bleed, and it's a comedy. It's a horror comedy film that won quite a few awards at the festivals over the summer, which is good. We've done well. And we're trying to get it on a network called Alter, which is on YouTube, but we'll be releasing it soon.
That's cool.
But for you, Frank, I can ping you the link if you want when we get off air.
Oh my God! Exclusive.
You're very, very welcome to watch it, mate. I'll ping you a link on Messenger when we get off. And you can have a look. Okay. You go to type2bleed.com for more info. There you go.
Yep. Type to Bleed. Yep. Okay. Is there anything else about Battle? Have we tackled everything?
It's hard. I kind of feel like I don't really know what more to say about that. I will say that about Battle, that I don't have a lot to add. You know what I mean? I have a lot to say. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It feels like a slightly empty comment, but it's because it's not an empty film, but I'm kind of like, Battle is Battle. I like it. It's not amazing. I'm not indifferent to it. If you're going to watch all five, because you should.
Yes, you should. And go in any order. Freaking put it like in a revolver and freaking like figure out.
Single chamber.
Which Planet of the Apes do I start with first?
I love that as a suicide metaphor.
The only good human is
Spin the chamber and put it to your temple. That's what you get.
Okay, so audience, is there any ape-related things that we missed? Leave a comment down below. So, Richard, what have you been up to recently, other than bringing the new show and working on stuff?
So what have I done? I worked on a movie called Wolf Manor, which is on general release now. I was gaffer on that, so I wasn't like creatively involved, but I gaffered a horror movie in the UK last year. My film has just finished its festival run, and we won about 10 or 12 awards altogether across different festivals and stuff. So we're really, really excited and proud of that. I'm developing a feature film script at the moment that I'm going to get funded and make, I hope. I'm doing lots of corporate work at the moment because that's how I pay most of my bills. I'm developing my friend made a sci-fi movie that's getting a sequel, and I'm developing that. So we're trying to get funding for that because it did rather well on DVD. So I worked on the Robert Englund doc.
Yes, because I think that's years ago, because I think that's how we commented. I'm like, oh, I saw Richard, and you're like, oh, that's how we connected. That's how we knew before this.
Right. Okay. Yes. So we filmed 2019. I was in the States, and we filmed with Robert Englund at his house, and then we met Lance Henriksen and Tony Todd, and
that's what the connection was, Tony Todd, because it's like, oh, we're 1 degree away, Richard. Finally,
we can almost touch. Well, that's getting a US theatrical release in a couple of months in June. Cool. I was director of photography on that. So I shot, lit and sound recorded that movie, feature length doc. US theatrical release in June, and it's having its UK premiere here in August. And that's the most exciting thing I've got coming up, because we're having the premiere in Leicester Square in London, which is like, that's where the premiere. That's like our Chinese theatre.
That's
Leicester
awesome.
Square.
Yeah, that's
cool. Yeah. So I'm really, really excited. So I went to the premiere of the Werewolf movie last year at Leicester Square, but I was just gaffer. It wasn't my baby. But it's called Hollywood Dreams and Nightmares: The Robert Englund Story, and it's out in June in the States. So that's the big exciting thing that's happening. Meanwhile, I'm just doing kind of corporate movie. I do corporate films and stuff. So that's how I make my dough. And Rob's asking me about Peter Weller's voice.
Yes, Peter Weller's voice in the game, not metallic enough.
Well, I worked on the same guys did a film called RoboDoc, which is a documentary about Robocop. And I worked on that just for a day. I went to Mark Goldblatt's house to interview him for that, and I lit that. And Peter Weller was really difficult to get, and I know what it takes to get Peter Weller. I can't really say much more than that, but I know the figure. And he's in the RoboCop game doing the voice. And I really loved the Terminator game by Teon that got loads of crap off people, and they've made this RoboCop game, so I'm optimistic for it. And he does feel a little bit like he's sleepwalking through the voice work, a bit like when he's in Mortal Kombat. But whatever, man's got a kid that he wants to send through college or buy a yacht or whatever Peter Weller does.
Yeah, Peter Weller, that guy. I know a little bit about him because I saw him at one of these fan expos, and he because everyone kept bringing up RoboCop stuff. He's like, "Is there anybody else that has anything else I've worked on? I've directed more things than I've been in."
Oh yeah. Could you sign this poster of that one episode of the Lethal Weapon show?
Exactly.
It's not going to happen, mate. Or like, it would be cool to take him like naked lunch stuff, but it's not really merchandise, is it?
Naked lunch action figures, reaction figures from
reaction figures. Yes. Yeah, he's fair play to him. You can do it every once. Bless him.
Okay. Kate Fisher asks thoughts on the Burton film. You've kind of hinted at it, Richard, but what are your thoughts?
We talked about this. We touched on this briefly, didn't we, yesterday? It's just like Rick Baker, right? Like, wow. And there's a real cool cast in this, and Mark Wahlberg. Say hi to your mother for me. But it just, the script just isn't there, is it? What do you think? Like,
it's been a while since I watched it. I can't give my correct thoughts on it, but I do know when I saw it as a little kid in 2001, and then when he crashes on the stairs and you see the statue, I was like, hot damn! Give me more! Give me more!
I should have known you were going to say this. I should have known you were going to say
Give me.
this.
I need. But like, I don't know how it'd feel now. I don't know because I haven't watched it in like 20 years. But
yeah, it's something I must confess, because it's not beyond the pale for me to come around on these things, but I didn't bother. Do you know what? Like when it came out just after I'd really gotten into Apes. And I was that contrarian teenager. It's kind of like remakes are terrible, which is wrong.
Oh my gosh! Wrong, Richard.
So I didn't.
No,
Richard. No, do. So I didn't bother watching it at the time. I waited till it was on TV. I didn't see it at the theater. I watched it on TV, and I was just a bit like, I liked the ending because it was dumb. The dumb ending. But it just feels to me like Tim Burton doesn't really give a shit about Planet of the Apes.
No, that's
what I think.
Completely work for a hire movie. I don't think anybody cared because I don't even think they had like a final script. I think they're probably making up as they go.
Right.
But the makeup, I'll say that because we talked about it. The makeup is so good in that movie. The cast is stacked. It's great.
It's incredible, man.
Yeah,
it's incredible. Like all that, like Tim Roth, that makeup
and like even his performance, how he's like. And like how he picks up the gun, and it's like it's not a fully evolved. It's almost like they still have that little bit of ape characteristics,
and they could conceivably be apes. I kind of think because the new movies are so concerned with being realistic, it's just like, dude, like look at the source material. You know what I mean? Like I think what I would rather have is those Rick Baker style apes with that kind of level of performance in it, instead of, because they barely talk. They kind of don't fully talk. Really, they're not verbose apes in the new ones, are they? Because that's unrealistic. And it's like, get off! Like, what are you talking about?
I don't get why people like these new ones. Speaking of which, that's the other thing. New Apes Kingdom is coming out next year.
There you go. Yeah, we talked about this yesterday. But I mean, you and I are both like, fine, whatever.
Yeah, like I'm sure I'll go see it. I'm that kind of person. It's like, all right, why not?
I don't know. I would go see it if it had some kind of mad buzz off it. If it had some like insane buzz, I'd watch it. Like, oh, it's amazing, it's nuts. Like someone interested.
It's the John Wick of ape films.
Right. Yeah. It's Cornelius with a Glock. It's crazy. Yeah, I don't know. Like, because I just think I like Rise of the Planet of the Apes. I do. I just do. The other two are just these grey kind of like, this one's Gary Oldman, this one's Woody from Cheers. Like, it's just, they're just, as you and I suggest, they make up a war narrative and then put an Oscar-winning actor in it. It's like,
yeah, and they just they take themes from the Dark Knight movies, and it's just
yeah, and then you put Gary Oldman in there. It's kind of like, you like that, didn't you?
I will say, so my positive thing about the Gary Oldman, because I don't know the title, they're interchangeable, don't matter to me. But the one with Gary Oldman, my favorite line in the movie, or my favorite moment of like any movie in the last 20, 30 years is in that movie. And it's where Jason Patrick says, look, I got to tell you about this whole situation. It cuts to the action. You see Caesar doing all these things. Things are exploding. There's humans fighting apes, boom, boom, boom. Cuts back to that conversation. Gary Oldman's like, are you fucking out of your mind? Because the whole conversation happened off set.
Right.
The audience doesn't need to see it because we already know. And then it just cuts to Gary Oldman like, are you out of your fucking mind? That's like one of my favorite moments, and it's comedic.
Yeah,
that's the only thing that stands out to me. I don't remember the plot. I just remember that moment, and
they're quite sludgy, aren't they?
Yeah,
they're just kind of grey sludge. I don't know. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, they're really beautifully made, but I just think thematically they're just sort of
the camera's in focus. It's well edited.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. It has a runtime of 121 minutes.
There are actors. They are good. They say their lines correctly. They color balance the movie, but other than that, it's
objective reviews. Objective reviews. They're the best. True objectivity, Frank. True objectivity.
Yes. would Duncan and Verde ever consider doing a commentary track on the Ape films? This is what I've been pioneering since 2013. I mean,
You really have.
my lone voice in the crowd.
You really have, bless your heart. I think it would be a hard sell on Duncan, honestly. I know Brad and I have been talking about it for years, since 2013 probably. So if it was going to happen, it'd be me and Brad. But Brad's just gone off to do another feature. His last feature is just coming out now, getting a release. Mm-hmm. So I think he's probably doing press for his last feature. He's off to his next feature.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I would love to.
Yeah.
I would love to.
To like back to the story, but like seriously, guys, ever since I discovered Oliver and Richard and Duncan, I was like the lone voice, like, talk about the apes. Talk about the apes.
Do you know what, Frank? Do you know what, Frank, as well? Like, I never forgot that. I never forgot that. Because when I think of you, I think of Planet of the Apes, I think of Hudson Hawk.
Yes. Oh, speaking of which, that was the huge promotion of this whole thing. I kept using that song, Swinging from a Star.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. You put it in that Instagram story earlier. And the fact that you're using Go Ape, because we used to say hashtag Go Ape to each other all the time.
Yes, Go Ape, Go Ape. Because like, seriously, guys, you have no idea. I was like literally like, I'm always like DMing him like, how about you do some apes? Because you guys did like every franchise. Is like you did all the Bonds, you did all the Back to the Futures, the Jurassic Park, the Batman. It's like, Go Ape.
I feel like Duncan. I don't think Duncan's seen these.
Yeah, and
I don't know. I don't recall Oliver. I don't think Oliver was a fan either.
Really? Wow.
I don't think so. I don't recall ever talking properly to Oliver about them. And it never came up because it's one of those things. Like if that had come up for us, the way we worked at that time was that's 5 commentaries. That's content.
Yeah, that's like
so we would have done it. We would have done it. That's so weird because like it's like easy content too because it's like 5 videos to do it. I don't know. Yeah, exactly. So that's why Aliens, Batman, chop because everybody knew him and watched him in our group of 3. But
everyone does the Predator, everyone does Batman.
Never say no though because I love apes. I want to go apes.
Yes, apes.
Yeah.
Okay, what else we have here? We have someone exiting. What is this? What takes a few dollars on Cameo? What? Oh, can we get Richard on Cameo? Is that what it is? Oh no, you're talking about, I know what he's referring to. He's referring to Peter Weller, the price point.
Okay. That's my buddy Frank Allen.
Yeah.
I've slept on Frank's sofa numerous times.
It says right here, just lie.
Just lie. Right. Well, we had Michael Bean did a cameo for us that Ellie arranged. It was quite cute. Dan Lyles. It's no one going to mention Roddy McDowell in Columbo is.
I need to get in Columbo now that I know that it's like, was it 10? It's like only a couple episodes, right? How many things are in it?
Columbo?
Yeah. How many things are Columbo? Yeah.
What do you mean? Yeah. How many things?
Like how many episodes? Is it a show? Like,
there's a lot. Oh no,
there's a lot.
It ran for like 20 years or something. It's a fuck of a lot, and each one's feature length. But dude, Frank, Columbo is fucking awesome. Like it's so good. Roddy McDowell, William Shatner, Billy Connolly, Fisher Stevens. The villain of the week is usually kind of some kind of movie star. They're fucking awesome. They're so good. Like
wow, so it's like feature length 20 things. Oh god.
Hold on. How many episodes of Columbo? How many episodes of someone's probably
Slasher Free. We brought this up earlier. The Fish Called Selma, where they do Planet of the Apes Broadway musical. Me and Richard actually sing the song together. So when this gets reposted.
We do. Okay, Frank. 35 years of Columbo. I'm very wrong. 35 years. 69 episodes.
Nice.
Nice. They're feature length, mate.
Oh Lord.
So they are so good though. I don't know what you got like in the UK, I think because Columbo's on Saturdays on ITV. I don't know what goes on the States. The Burton Apes film is only good for the comedy, but sorry, it's your show. I just started reading. I said read that automatically. I apologize.
No, it's okay. It's okay. The Burton films is only good for comedy bits that refer to it by Steve Harvey and Kevin Smith. Oh yeah, Kevin Smith. That's right. Let's see.
Marky Mark.
My God, there's tons of comments here. They keep coming. Hang on, what's this?
There are lots of Valverdians in the chat.
Yes.
Hey, Valverdians.
Yes, the Valverde people. Revolution. For better or worse, has Burton ever care deeply about anything he's adapted. The strongest argument is Mars Attacks. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think he has, but like they're sort of like happy accidents, like the Batman movies, where it's like, oh yeah, he kind of.
Mars Attacks is like, I think it's such a loose adaptation because it's trading cards, wasn't it? So he just gets to do his own thing.
Yeah, because I think. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, go ahead. Finish your thought.
I love Mars Attacks. I think we did an episode about it once. I think it's brilliant. I'm not the hugest Tim Burton fan anyway, but you know, I love Ed Wood, but I fucking love Mars Attacks. And if you watch Mars Attacks and Independence Day next to each other, they're two very different takes on essentially the same thing.
Yes. For the longest time, I've always wanted to mash those up together.
Oh man, they did it. Well, you know what my interests are. They did a writer called Al Ewing did a Judge Dredd versus Mars Attacks comic, which was fucking amazing. You know, those are those things I like.
Yes.
You know?
These are things I know.
These are things I know. Yeah.
Yeah. Mars Attacks. Let's see. I like it because it riffs off my favorite era of disaster films, which is the 70s. Like seriously, it's like straight up.
Yeah, it's like an Owen Allen movie, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's got
exactly.
kind of huge cast and everything,
and like later day Allen, where it feels like Earthquake or something, or
yes,
Beyond the Poseidon Adventure.
Yes,
it doesn't feel like Tower of Inferno, where it's like it feels like an Oscar movie. No, it feels like Beyond the Poseidon Adventure, which I love.
Owen Allen via Ed Wood, right? You know, it's all the kind of
absolutely
sci-fi source of panic. Yeah.
What else we got here? Any more questions? 60 Charlie Heston. Iconic. Yeah, that's right. He does say that line. Oh my god, there's tons of comments here. That's hilarious. Oh my gosh.
Are these comments or chats?
This is comments. So like, or I guess this is chat. Yeah. I bought my grandmother the Columbo box set. It could have been cased in it as a deadly weapon. Oh, dude. Yes. Those box sets are huge. Yes.
I had that. I got the Apes box set on DVD, which I don't think is in my eyeline, but there was like a kind of orange Apes box set that had. It's a bit of a pisser actually, because it's got Cornelius's face and then the Statue of Liberty on the box.
Yes.
It's like, but is that the same one in the States? It was like the 5 discs and then the behind disc.
Yeah, I think so, because I think there's like a big giant like head of Cornelius or Caesar.
Oh God, there's the 3D.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, with like it's got like real hair on it. Well, not
yeah. Okay, so I guess this kind of counts as a question. Mission Impossible related video. Have you done that?
Never.
Really?
I've only seen the first one.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. Because I loved that. I loved De Palma's Mission Impossible, like when it came out.
Really? So you never seen the second one, third one, Ghost Protocol?
No. Well, see, I love John Woo. And like when the second one came out, everyone was like, "This sucks." I was like, "Well, I'm not going to watch that."
Well, that's right, because it's that same era of Richard saying, "I don't like sequels." Or
yeah, exactly right. Yes. Being so fucking clever.
Yes.
And then I really feel like I've missed the boat on Mission Impossible, and also in much the same way, I watched Hobbs and Shaw, but I've never seen a Fast and Furious film either. So it's
that kind of works as a standalone, though. The Hobbs and Shaw, kind of.
Right. Okay. I just feel like I need to get my shit together and watch them because they look like a lot of fun. Like it seems like Mission Impossible really turned the corner and is loads of fun, but I just need to. I've got to a point now where I have to watch like 6 movies or something. Because isn't the most recent one going to be 2 films? Like it's split into 2.
And it makes me sad because I love the Ethan Hunt character and I know he's going to lose at the end because he never loses.
Right.
So Ethan Hunt's going to have to lose at the end for the part 2. I was like, damn it.
It's just one big movie, Frank. Don't worry about it. You just have to wait. You got to wait in the middle.
I don't want to wait.
Oliver said that I look like Sean Harris.
Sean Harris.
In Mission Impossible, I don't know which one. He's the Moriarty guy they keep in a plastic cage.
Oh, the guy who talks like that. Well, you do the voice. I don't know if you look like him. You do the voice.
Well, because I don't think I look like him whatsoever. Like,
yeah, you don't look like him. But the voice.
I don't get it. But I don't know if that's just me being British.
I think so. Do you see the original Apes film as an allegory for evolution versus creationism? Yeah.
Do you? I don't know.
I never saw it as that because like during this rewatch, I was totally thinking about like the humanity of like Taylor and him kind of gaining that back. I didn't really see the evolution versus
because they have creation myth, don't they? Because the creation myth is what they're hiding behind the creation myth to mask.
That's right. Yeah. That is true, because like their whole
It really
religion
is.
is like, yeah, about like a Jesus ape or the lawgiver.
Yeah. So it has the, you know, and
The pieces are there.
the pieces are there as kind of religion versus science. Sure, for sure.
Yeah. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna shoot down that idea. I'm sure it's there.
Mm,
Because like it's a great sci-fi movie, so there's multiple levels to that original movie.
right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, all kinds going on.
Absolutely. And then I think that's it for. Oh wait, hang on. I see a question mark. Okay, talk about Marky Mark.
The Marky Mark.
Talk about things I want you to talk about. Here we go. How much would I have to bribe you and Duncan to do commentaries for all the Shyamalan movies? As much as Weller.
I don't. Yeah, it's as well. I don't think you'd probably need to bribe us, Sam. I just think like The Happening in particular, because that's what we're really talking about here. The Happening.
You have to do The Happening.
Duncan does a great impression of
what?
Wahlberg
No,
in the Happening. Yeah, exactly. No, ma'am. No, we're not.
No, we're not.
No, we're not.
No.
Say hi to your mother for me.
Say hi to your mother for me, okay? Thoughts on Alien Romulus? Seems to be going for the same prey with Predator.
Wait, so there's a new Alien movie called Romulus?
I didn't know about this either. This is hot.
I didn't know. James, I know not of this.
I don't. What is this? What is Alien? Tell us, James. Tell us now.
I guess 20th Century Films, as they're now known, want to do what Prey did with Alien. Wasn't there supposed to be an Alien TV show in the offing as well? Wasn't Disney doing that?
I thought so, but I don't know if that's been canceled or not, because even now they're kind of like backtracking. They want to do back physical. They want to go back to physical media, which is wild.
Right? Yeah, that's crazy, isn't it? Release all the movies on vinyl.
Release Prey. I want to see Prey.
Yeah, Prey was fucking cool. I
haven't seen Prey just because it's on streaming. It's like I'm not going to pay for it. Damn it.
Oh, so you don't have Disney Plus?
No, I haven't. I don't have. No. Well, it's different here in the States. It's on Hulu, and I have to pay.
Oh, it's on Hulu. Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, it's great, man. It's cool. Really good movie. Really good movie.
Take an interest in science.
Come on, guys.
Will you ever consider bringing back Pitches, Lave onto Verde, or is that series retired after Bristol Stool Chart Pitch?
Naturally, you'll be stunned to hear that the Bristol Stool Chart Pitch is one of my favorite things ever. I don't know, actually. Like maybe, like it was something that we really loved doing, but people just didn't really watch. But also, I think what happened was like, oh, you watched it, did you?
Oh no, I'm just saying. No, go ahead.
Well, COVID just threw a hand grenade into everything.
And
we never quite kind of recongealed into the same form after that.
Yeah.
You know,
because I've sort of done that recently with my friend Luke, because when he had his podcast, you got to be on my podcast. I'm like, what are we going to talk about? I don't know. And then he's like, you got to do like pitches for sequels that never happened. So we did an episode where me and him pitch, sequels. Like I pitch a legacy sequel to the 2003 Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I pitch a Leon sequel about what's the character's name? The little girl.
What's she called? Princess Amidala.
Natalie Portman, the one with the pompadour. Elvis, what's her name?
Yeah.
Oh shit, I forgot her name. Matilda.
Anyway, Matilda. There you go.
Matilda. But I pitched a sequel to that, and I pitched a sequel to Beetlejuice. Like my idea was that they should do stop motion, so everyone's frozen in age.
Oh, nice. Oh, cool. That's great. Yeah.
Because there's a lot of actors who've passed away since then, or have gone to prison, or currently being in a court case. So you'd have to replace those characters, and it would be easier to do voiceover in a stop motion sequel rather than
animated Beetlejuice.
Yeah. Rather than an 80-year-old freaking Michael Keaton trying to do something.
Ivan and I like to, our creative route for making sequels is to just pluralize them. So my sequel to Leon.
Matilda's.
Leon's. There's another Leon. Titanics. Like, you just double up. James Cameron made it work, mate. So this time there's 2 Titanics and 2 icebergs going to hit each other with 2 parallel love stories. It works.
Here we go.
The Alien show is going to be on FX instead of streaming.
Oh.
All right.
I didn't know that.
We don't have... Do we have FX in the UK? I don't even know.
I don't know.
I don't watch television, Frank. I do. I
don't watch television either.
I've got a massive TV on my wall, and I fucking watch TV. I watch streaming shows. I don't watch broadcast TV like ever. I don't even have my TV plugged into an aerial. Like
Yeah.
I just don't watch live TV because it's all shit.
I can't stand commercials. I can't. That's why I'm always
Right.
like
There you
watching
go.
movies, and I get my news from Twitter. It's like that's where I get it because I follow all my local news stations on Twitter. So it's like I don't need to watch the news.
Right. Same. I follow on Facebook and like Instagram. I follow local press, like, so I don't watch the news. Like,
yeah, because there's no need for television. There's too much content out there.
Yeah, man. I don't want to sit through adverts and I'm freelance, so in the daytime it's like all adverts aimed at people that are gonna die soon. So it's all about old people insurance and shit like that.
Yeah. I just want to give an example of how much I hate commercials. So a few years ago, I was in the hospital on my deathbed, but I was watching them at TV and they had Jurassic Park on, one of my favorite movies of all time. And there was a commercial in the middle of the Rex breakout. The T-Rex, he flipped the truck over and it cut to commercial. I'm like, what the hell? It's the middle of the scene. And then it came back and he went to bite down on the tire. I was like, are you serious? This is like the weirdest version of Jurassic Park.
Absolute sacrilege.
Yeah.
Just movies with life's too short for movies with ad breaks on. Fuck that.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it's advantageous if you're drinking because you can go for a pee.
Yes. I am aware of this. Columbiana was a repurposed script of Matilda. I do know that. I do like Columbiana. That's one of the few oh God, why am I blanking on her name? Natiri from Avatar. Crap. She's in the new Star Trek movies. What's her name?
Zoe Saldana.
Oh my God, I can't believe I forgot her name. Yeah, that's one of the few movies I'm like, I wish she did more movies by herself where she's not in a franchise.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, Columbiana. It's sort of like almost like a rip-off Tony Scott movie. That's what I'd call it.
Okay. Frank, I'm gonna have to.
Oh yeah, it's getting late there. Yep. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So that's fine. Like in 4 minutes, it's 11 p.m. If I can sign off at 11 p.m., that would be lovely.
Okay, now I'm going to wrap it up. So where can people contact you and see you? And
well, I think a lot of the people watching right now are Valverde folks, which is lovely. This is Valverdeans. But if you put into YouTube Valverde Broadcasting, and I'm on Instagram at JacksonJackson83. And if you go to typetoubleed.com, you can go check out info about our movie that's not out yet. And that's where I can be found. If you Google Richard Jackson, you'll find a man on a popular shopping channel in the UK who sells plants, and I'm not him. So, don't do that.
Not Richard Jackson.
Or do if you want plants. I used to harass him on Twitter about setting up like a Richard Jackson Avengers, and I think the joke wore a bit thin, and he might have blocked me. I can't remember. I just kept tagging all these different Richard Jacksons I knew about, and I was like, if you do this, I'll let you be in charge. But
a crisis on multiple Jacksons.
A crisis on infinite Jacksons.
Yes.
Yeah. He wasn't biting, so whatever.
Okay. And you can contact me on Twitter, on I Want My TV Now, and Instagram. And you can watch on Twitter. And next week, my show will be talking about old toys, because I'm going to go through my old box, and I have Arnold Schwarzenegger here from NECA that I got.
Sweet.
But yeah, I'm going to go through those next week. So if you guys want to tune in for that, I'll be here at 6 p.m. on Sunday. So if you guys can subscribe, I really appreciate that. Thank you for joining me, Richard. This is an honor.
Mate, do you know what? It's been a long time coming. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Long time coming. Yeah.
So lovely to finally speak to you.
Yes. And we should again. Yeah, we got to do it again. Yep, we got to do it again. Yep, we got to do it again. Okay, thank you guys for tuning in, and see you next week. Okay.
Bye.